Welcome, students. Open up a new Colab notebook and title this one While Loops. A while loop is similar to a for loop, but it has some key differences. So what we're going to do first is print out first 10 numbers. We can do this with a for loop, so let's see how we would do it with a while loop. Okay, first thing we're going to do is set n equal to 1, the first number. Next, we're going to set up our while loop, and you do that using the keyword while, W-H-I-L-E. Note that it is in fact color-coded. Space. Now, there's some condition that we want to keep. And in this case, the condition is as long as n is, say, less than 11, we're good, right? Because that'll give us the first 10 numbers. Okay, and then you put your colon, press return, and now you write the code that's the action that you want to take whenever that condition is met. In this particular case, it's simply to print out the number. So get this code set up as is, get it just like this, and let's run this code together. This is very special, okay? I'll explain why in a minute. Just bear with me. So hold on to the shift key and press return. 1, 2, 3, let's do it. Okay, why am I making a big deal about this? There's something that is kind of unique about while loops, and you're seeing it in action right now. We see a lot of ones. The ones are just being displayed and they're not stopping. Guess what? We are stuck in an infinite loop, and that I think is amazing. It's amazing on a lot of counts. I think the first one for me is that it's really hard to sort of find infinity anywhere. And although this isn't precisely infinity, this is about as close as you can get in the real world. This code will continue to run indefinitely as long as the internet is on. So what's going on here? The while loop is doing what it should. Okay, this says whenever n is less than 11, print it out. Well, n is 1 and 1 is less than 11. So it's printing out 1 indefinitely. The issue here is that we have not changed n. The only way we can get n to eventually be 11 or greater than 11 is to actually update it. So that's what's needed here. So what we can do inside of this while loop is to say n plus equals 1, which means n equals n plus 1. Okay, now in order to run this corrected code, we need to sort of stop the infinite loop. Although, feel free to pause the video and enjoy being stuck in an infinite loop for as long as you like. It'll be interesting to see if, I don't know, how long you could actually remain stuck in this loop. It's showing down here so far, it's been almost a minute and a half. So you can go to runtime, interrupt execution, or you can just repeatedly press the stop button, which is what I like to do until it stops. Okay, and you could sort of like go inside here and look at all your ones, and you would just be scrolling for a very long time. Okay, so after the code is corrected, go ahead and run it again, and let's look at the difference. You can see that now it does just print out the first 10 numbers. Let's look at the difference. So we start with 1 is less than 11. The condition is true, so we print out 1. But now, of course, we updated where n is equal to n plus 1, so it becomes 2. 2 is less than 11, print 2. N continues to update. Now, when n is equal to 10, 10 is less than 11, so we're going to print out 10. Now n becomes 11. And then 11 is not less than 11. When the condition is false, the while loop stops and the code terminates. Okay, let's do another example. Let's display first number after 1,000 that's divisible by 19. Okay, this is interesting. So how might we do this with the while loop? Well, first let's set our condition. So we can set n equals to 1,000. Now we want to set up our while loop. While what? What is the condition that we're setting up here? Now, if you're not sure initially, you can sort of just set something up that makes sense. Well, we're starting, as long as it's greater than or equal to, say, 1,000, we want the loop to continue to run. It's doing a check here, okay? Note the squiggly red line. I left off my variable here, which is n. Thank you, Colab, for providing that help. And there's another one here. I need my colon. And then press return. Okay, so what is the condition that we're looking for? Well, we're checking to see if the number is divisible by 19, which is n mod 19. Okay, and we want to, if we want that to be equivalent to 0, and then we're done. Okay, so if that condition is met, there's actually a special keyword that you can implement, which is called break. And what break does is it breaks out of the while loop. So even though we're starting with 1,000, and after we update, we need to set n equal to n plus 1 or n plus equals 1 to get higher than 1,000, like this part of it will go on indefinitely, but after every 19 numbers, there must be one that's divisible by 19. And when we find that one, we will break out of the loop, okay? And so when we break out of the loop, the code after this will not be run. The while loop will not be run. We get to the next line of code and we can simply print in, okay? So let's try that. Run the code, press Shift Enter, 1,007. And so let's do a check and see, is 1,007 in fact divisible by 19? And we find that hopefully, yes, it is. 19 times 53 is 1,007. Now, one more thing on this one. Once you know your condition that has been met, you can actually use that in place of your sort of unknown while piece. Here's what I mean. Let's copy the code. If you're inside of a collapse cell, you can just hit Command A to get all of it, then Command C. Go inside another one, Command V to paste, Control on Windows. And this is the condition that we want to be met. And so the idea here is that when do we want to run this while loop? Well, we want to run it when it's not equal, right? Because when it is equal, then we break out of the loop. And so that eliminates sort of the break and the if, and we can get it all straight like this. So let's check it first to see if in fact this does work. Press Shift Enter and look at that, you get the same result. So what's happening? Well, as long as these numbers are not divisible by 0, we're just going to keep adding to them. It's kind of cool, right? You just keep adding, adding, adding. Oh, once it is divisible by 0, divisible by 19, this condition is no longer met, right? Because if it's not divisible, if it's not equivalent to 0, then it is divisible by 19. And so we break out of the while loop and we can just print out the number. Okay, so either way is fine. There are often different ways of constructing while loops. And as you can see, hopefully they can be a lot of fun. You will get stuck in an infinite loop again. Everybody does, don't worry about it. If your code's taking too long to run, check it sometimes, that could be the case. And enjoy being stuck in infinite loops while you can.